What's going on, Falcon fan? This coming back at you with another video. So today we're going to talk about my first mock draft of the year for these Atlanta Falcons. Guys, I got trades. I did some trades actually, and I was able to get some quick quality picks. I'm not 100% sure if the draft would really fall out like this, and these guys will fall to us in this draft. But if it does, I think that you guys will definitely be pleased with the selection that I made on today's draft. Also, Atlanta Falcons got some good news yesterday. What's going on 3:30? Atlanta Falcons got some good news yesterday where the salary cap went up and the Atlanta Falcons got a little relief in their cap where they're at right now. They're still over the cap, but it's not as bad as it was. Atlanta Falcons still got to make some interesting decisions this offseason. We'll definitely see, how it pans out, coming up this upcoming week is the NFL Combine. So we definitely excited to see what's going on with that. But guys, let's get into this first that we're gonna have um many of and we're probably gonna use you know, different mock drafts. Today the one I used today was pro football, and we'll probably go to PFF. We'll switch it around because these guys got different grades and based on what the scouts put out there for each individual player. So we definitely want to get a different outlook and see what these guys look like. So guys, with that being said, if you have not already, go ahead and please subscribe to the channel. Please hit the notification bell so you're not dropping another video. Please hit the like button so I know you guys are here to talk about. Then please share my video to the universe so more people can come here and talk about. That's right, these Atlanta Falcons. So let's get into, like I said, first of all, the NFL did get some good news about the salary cap, and it went up, and it puts the Atlanta Falcons only $4,987,000 over the cap. That's a big thing because it was sitting at like by 8,000 to 11,000 on if you looking around to somewhere it was. So this is a good thing for the Atlanta Falcons. They still have some decisions to make. Of course, one of the biggest decisions they got to make is two of their older defensive linemen and Grady Jarrett and David Amiyata. If they was to let Grady Jarrett go post June 1st or pre June 1st, it'll be the same cap hit, be about $16 million. Um, that would definitely put the Falcons where they need to be up under the cap. But that is also where the Atlanta Falcons make a decision where they, deciding to do away with one of the long time standing Atlanta Falcons. Now, when I think about Grady Jarrett, and I think what a lot of people, you know, say you got to be more loyal to the team than the players, right? And then you don't want a player to stay here and just be playing players that's not being productive. But in Grady Jarrett, I do not think that's the case. I think Grady Jarrett still is a productive player. Now the cap number is what it is. So if they could, you know, try to lower the cap for Grady. I wouldn't say try to make him take a pay cut because I just think that's ridiculous. If you pay a guy his salary, you know you got to be able to live with it. So they restructured his contract one time. That's why this cap hit is where it is. Maybe they extend him and they can lower it that way. But Grady Jarrett is one of the guys that's been here a long time. He's one of the him and Jake Matthews, the only two guys left from that Super Bowl run that we had in 2016. So um, it'll be hard to let Grady go. Like I said, he's still productive. He's coming off for injury so the production was down this year, but that would be expected. So these 2 years removed from the ACL tear, I think Grady Jarrett might be better. But Atlanta Falcons really do have to do something with that cap number that he's going to be on the books for. The biggest cap number, of course, is Kirk Cousins, and we don't really know the situation with that. We have to find out the difference between Grady Jarrett and Kirk Cousins is that Kirk Cousins, has all that guaranteed money, so it's a sunk cost anyway. Where Grady will be able to recoup some of this. So that's the difference. But for me, looking at Grady Jarrett and David Amiyata is a different story. You know, pre June 1st, he's about an $8 million cap hit. Post June 1st, he's about 10 million. So they could decide on one of those guys, right? David Onyemata still is a great run defender, so that's one of the things that we definitely got to think about. But like I said, Grady Jarrett is like the heart and soul of Atlanta Falcons. So if you had to make a decision between the two, personally for me, it definitely would be Grady Jarrett. Both of those guys are about the same age. But we'll just have to see what the Atlanta Falcons decide to do. That's one of the decisions that Terry Fontenot's got to make, right? We made a decision earlier in his tenure, right? His first year when he decided to do away with, some of our other staple stars like um, Julio Jones, like a Matt Ryan, right? Those are tough, hard decisions, and you have to make decisions to make your team better. You go back to look at the New England Patriots. They always got rid of guys probably a year before they really had to. Look at a guy like Richard Seymour for the New England Patriots, and everybody thought that Bill Belichick was kind of crazy getting rid of Richard Seymour. He did the same thing with Tom Brady. Now, however, Tom Brady found a good spot to go to. He went to Tampa and did win another Super Bowl. But you know, you have to make those decisions because it's about the team, advice a person, rest of loyalty. It's a business, so you got to make those decisions. So it's gonna be interesting to see what Atlanta Falcons decide to do with Grady Jarrett. But you know, they did get good news, so this does help um, them moving forward with free agency and not having to make. You know, they might make it easier to make the decisions they need to make. We'll just have to see. So, guys, let me know what y'all think about that. The good news that Atlanta Falcon got. Um, Free agency is going to be first, so they got to get up under that cap number of that $4 million by March 12th, and we'll definitely get to see what the Atlanta Falcons could do with that. All right, so let's get into the mock draft for the day. Um, like I said, I was able to actually make a trade, right? And I made the trade with the Buffalo Bills. Let me go ahead and share my screen for you guys can see the mock that I did. And if you guys can see that, right. So, like I said, I was able to make a trade with the Buffalo Bills, taking the number 30th pick, um, giving them the number 15 pick, and also was able to get two extra second round picks out the Buffalo Bill, which is outstanding, right? Because you want to get guys that can contribute earlier in the draft, and this way you get second round picks. You hopefully these guys can contribute to the team. Um, it'll definitely help your salary issues that you're going to have in the future, right? Because you're gonna have to sign some young, some of your young stars and Bijan and Drake and things like that. So by getting, doing good in the draft, right, getting a good first round pick, where the Atlanta Falcons picking at number 30, where you have that fifth year option. So you're still picking in the first round, but now you're picking up three second round picks. I think was a good trade for us. And like I said, because this draft was so deep in some of the positions, it was a lot of players that I felt that was pretty good for the Atlanta Falcons. So with that number 30th pick, I was able to get Mike Green. Now we already know about Mike Green. That's why I don't like doing these mock drafts so early, because when you think about doing a draft this early, right? One thing that you got to consider is that guys ain't been to combine yet. They ain't went to their interviews with the teams. They 30 interviews they get with the teams and things like that. And in those cases, these guys going to rise in stock. Mike Green was already rising because what he was able to do at the Senior Bowl, but according to this draft, Mike Green was there at number 30. And if that was to happen, guys, that'd be awesome for us. We know we want to build our pass rush. Now, this all is going to be determined what the Atlanta Falcons do in free agency before the draft. But if they able to get a guy like Mike Green at number 30 overall and able to, like I said, get those extra um, second round picks, this is a win-win for the Atlanta Falcons. Um, Mike Green a guy who's 6'3", 251 pounds. He had 17 sacks, 3 forced fumble, 81 tackles, and I mean this guy has an explosive first step, speed and technique, what he's really already good in. Now, one thing about Mike Green, what he might drop because his run, his run game, being able to defend the run is questionable. That's something he's gonna have to, get better in when he comes to the NFL. But right now you can actually put Mike Green as a pass rush specialist, right? He can start off being that, right? Picking up him number 30, and if he's able to utilize that speed, utilize the pass rush skills that he already have, I believe that this is going to be a really good pick for Atlanta Falcons. They still get him in the first round. They still got that fifth-year option on him. So if he turns out to be what we think he can be, they'll have that control over him for the next 5 years. So I like this pick for the Atlanta Falcons at number 30 for taking Mike Green after moving back from 15. And we already had heard that this is a deep draft between 20 and 60, right? So if you looking at some of the scouts out there right now, they got a lot of defensive players in the middle of the draft. So Atlanta going back is not, they could definitely do this in this draft and still get a quality player. And by getting a guy like Mike Green, because I think the word is out right now, the defensive tackle is deep. It's really deep. The defensive tackle position is really deep. That might be why a guy like Mike Green might, fall back. But defensive players, edge rushers, always going to be a premium in this league. So getting Mike Green at number 30, I think, is a really good pick for these Atlanta Falcons. All right. At pick number 46, right? That's the Atlanta Falcons' own pick that they had going into the draft, number 46. And I took Jack Sawyer. Now, this is one of the guys I talked about when we was talking about edge rushers earlier. One of the guys that I love his motor, and I don't want to, like I said, never want to do comparisons. You're talking about guys that's coming out of college, but if you look at a guy like Max Crosby, I like his motor, right? Jack Sawyer, a guy that's 6'5", 260 pounds, had 9 sacks this season. He had 3 forced fumbles, 59 tackles. A guy that's going to be a immediate contributor for any team, especially in the base defense, right? He excels in run defense. So you want somebody to be able to do that. And, he could develop into that pass rusher. He's always going to get after the quarterback. Might not have those high number of sacks, but, you can actually look at a guy like Grady Jarrett. You think about a guy like Jack Sawyer, somebody that's actually is going to be able to get after the quarterback. It's going to be relentless, right? This right here for me, get him at 46. Like I said, once again, like I don't know if he actually going to be there at 46, but he was there for us, right? To take him this time in this mock draft one. And if you get a guy like Jack Sawyer, at number 46 in the second round, I think this will be a steal for Atlanta Falcons. Yes, I went back to back. I went Mike Green and I went Jack Sawyer, is two guys that can really be really stout on our defensive line. Now, once again, we already got defensive players that we want to see grow, and develop on the team already. This right here is just going to create this competition. And this also means if we taking a guy like Jack Sawyer, maybe the Atlanta Falcons decide to do away with one of those guys that I talked about earlier, in Grady Jarrett and David Mayada, right? But you add Jack Sawyer to that defensive front, we could have rid of Rook Rororo, Brandon Dorless, Braylon Trice, Zach Harrison, Urban Katie, Mike Green, right? You have a young, stout defensive front that can really build and develop for years. You look at what the Los Angeles Rams was able to do. You look at what the Super Bowl champ, the Philadelphia Eagles, able to do with a defensive front. So back-to-back going with Mike Green and Jack Sawyer, I think it will be a really good draft for the Atlanta Falcons. And like I said, honestly, I don't know if he'll actually be there. I mean, it's a guy you can move around like they was able to do with a guy like Grady Jarrett. So Jack Sawyer for me at number 46 for the Atlanta Falcons. Yes, it will be a really good pick for us. All right, the next guy, And this right here is depending on what the Atlanta Falcons decide to do in free agency at the cornerback position. So I went with Maxwell Harrison, right, from Kentucky, a guy, and this guy would definitely put him in the nickel, right? We know what the offer, brought this year. Maybe they bring him back because they're the restricted free agent, so they can actually control the offer salary if they want to bring him back for that depth. But I would definitely go out and get a guy like Maxwell Harrison, guy from Kentucky. I mean, this guy's 5'11", 179 pounds. He had only one interception this year, 25 yards. He had 4 pass defense, 19 tackles, 19 solo tackles. The thing about this guy here, he has next level hands and ability to read and react to plays. This guy right here would really excel in zone. And I think that's important when you look at Atlanta Falcons, because Atlanta Falcons was second most in running zones last year behind what the Philadelphia Eagles. So you look at what like Vic Fangio like to do. They do not like to give up big plays, so they play a lot of zones to try to keep everything in front. Maxwell Harrison be really good for the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, if you look at a guy like AJ Terrell, I think that's probably the most zone he played, and he had a really good season. But this guy has great ball skills, recognition to make plays. Getting with Jerry Gray, I think this right here would hone his skills. You come in, and he will be a perfect fit for the Atlanta Falcons defense. I really believe that. So 4.48 40 time. He has the ability. He has to develop and press coverage. But like I said, for the Atlanta Falcons, they didn't play a lot of press coverage last year. So this right here will work well for the Atlanta Falcons. So when you're looking at this pick for us, right, you're going out getting a need. Now this is actually a need for the Atlanta Falcons, going to get a cornerback, especially at the slot position. This go back to when I had my perfect offseason for Atlanta Falcons. They bring back Mike Hughes to be that number 2, right? If you want to bring back the offer, like I said, he is a restricted free agent, so you can control his cap and his number, bring him back, right? But then you want to go out and draft his competition to put him in to go with him, and see what you got with Maxwell Harrison. But for me, I like this pick a lot. Like I said, he's perfect for what the Atlanta Falcons want to do, run that zone defense. So if you run a lot of cover 2, cover 3 defenses, this is where Atlanta Falcons can really utilize a guy like him. Young guy, add to the table, great tackler as well. So I love this pick for us, and definitely want to see. So that's 2 picks in the second round, right? So like I said, guy that we want to be able to be an early contributor for the Atlanta Falcons, and you have control over this guy for the next four years as well. So I love this pick for the Atlanta Falcons. All right, the next pick would be number 62, and we got to start thinking about protecting Michael Penix Jr. So I went with Emory Jones Jr. out of LSU. Guy stands 6'5", 312 pounds. Now this is a decision where you start looking at a guy like Kaleb McGary, right? Not great pass protector on the right side. That's Michael Penix blind side. So just something to start thinking about. This guy has the ability to be a long-time starter in the NFL, right? His IQ is really good. He has great bend, flexibility at his knees, be able to help with those speed rusher. Unlike what we see from Kaleb McGary, he's also good in the run, like Kaleb McGary, but you're going to be able to got to start thinking about this, right? And this could be another cap casualty. The Atlanta Falcons started to do away with Kaleb McGary because he is the blind side for Michael Penix. You want to be able to protect this blind side, right? You be able to save about $16 million if you was to do that. So with the Atlanta Falcons going to get a guy like Emory Jones, you're thinking about the future, and you want to be able to protect, like I said, Michael Penix blind side. So Yes, I went offense. I was thinking about we need defense, 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 but you also got to protect the franchise because that's where it's all about. So you want to be able to protect a guy like Michael Penix Jr. You go get a guy like Emory Jones at picks number 62. Yes, he's probably going to need some development. He's not going to be polished right off the start. You're picking him in the second round at number 62, but at the same time, you have control of this guy for 4 years. You want a guy that be able to contribute early. And this right here, making this pick, like I said, the decision what they decide to do with a guy like Caleb McGarry. So I like this pick as well. I think it's good value for the Atlanta Falcons. So that's the 3 picks out the second round, right? Now, by doing that, we did have to give up some of our later picks. So the next picks won't come to the 6th and 7th round, but getting 4 quality guys out of this draft that you think that can be definitely contributors in 2025, I think would be really good for the Atlanta Falcons, especially when you're trying to, utilize the cap and you're trying to build through the draft. Yes, you're going to have younger players, but you're going to have you need that mixture of some veterans with your young guys. So I love this pick for for the Atlanta Falcons, Emory Jones from LSU. All right, all right, all right. Next pick at pick 201, I went and got LeJounte Webster. Yes, it's a guy from the Colorado Buffaloes. Of course, I love Prime, so watched a lot of Colorado, and I think this guy could definitely be electric for the Atlanta Falcons, especially feel one of the potential, needs that they can have. They have LeJounte Webster would fit perfectly in the Atlanta Falcons offense. Only thing that's wrong with LeJounte Webster is basically his size, guys. That's what he's going to get the knock on. He's 5'9", 177 pounds, right? But he had 74 receptions, 931 yards, 10 touchdowns. This guy was electric for Colorado, and Atlanta Falcons definitely need to be able to, upgrade their special teams as well. So this guy could dual hat and be a punt returner for the Atlanta Falcons. His explosiveness, I think, will be good. He will fit great in Atlanta because they run a lot of 11 personnel. So you will put him in the slot. You can run a lot of quick games. The Atlanta Falcons like to do a lot of motion, right? So this is why I pick a guy like LeJounte Webster. I think he could definitely benefit. I think because of his size and being able to utilize his skills, the route running he has really, really good hands. He can get in space and he can make guys miss. That's what you want. Atlanta Falcons tried to do this with Rondale Moore. Get a guy like this in last year. Of course, Rondale Moore took the injury, but they could go down and get a cheaper guy now. They're going to get a LeJounte Webster at pick 201. I think this would really be a good move for them. A lot of people looking at him and saying that he compared to other little small guys in this draft. I mean, in the history of the NFL, and I agree. I think he can definitely have a role. He's a dog, man. Like I said, the size does not bother him at all. 10 touchdowns tell you a lot about him, maybe his explosiveness and him being able to get open. One of Shedeur Sanders' favorite targets for the Colorado Buffaloes, and I think will fit perfectly around Drake London, Darnell Mooney, right? What they decided to do with Kyle Pitts, right? This guy could be the 4th or 5th receiver, right? I know we still got Ray McCloud. We was really impressed with what he was able to do, but if you want to be able to create more, explosion, I think this guy can help and definitely help on special teams because that's one of the things that Atlanta Falcons need to fix as well. More than likely, we're probably not going to get Avery back, so they need to find a punt returner anyway, and I think that Javonte Webster definitely could fit that mold. So that's what I think about that pick. And then last pick, guys, at 244. Just wanted to bring some competition to the room. This really will going to depend on what the Atlanta Falcons decide to do in free agency at the safety position. Of course, we got DeMarco Hellens coming back. Richard Grant, he's a free agent, so decide what they have to do with him. They're going to think about bringing Justin Simmons back. But at the end of the day, at pick number 244, I went on to pick Craig Woodson out of Cal. Guy's 6 feet tall, 202 pounds. Now this guy is straight up a box safety. That's what he does. 15 yards and in, he's a stud. All right, now you put him out in space, that's you're probably going to have some troubles and things like that. But that's not what you need, right? Because you got Jesse Bates out there. You want somebody that can come down, um, play really, really good style defense, run defense. He's played really good in the zone as well. So another guy that fits really good in the Atlanta Falcons offense. I think getting a guy like Craig Woodson and having competition with DeMarco Hellams, another guy that liked to be in the box, right? Because now what was surprising about DeMarco Hellams, his coverage skill was better than a lot of us expected, right? Because in Alabama they had DeMarco Hellams doing a lot. He was all over the place, but we was able to see him shine his first season with the Atlanta Falcons, right? He actually took over some of the starter snaps for Richie Grant in 2024. I mean in 2023, not 2024, right? But bringing that competition in is always good. 244 as it is, yes, it's a 7th-round pick. DeMarco Hellams picked in the 7th round, so definitely want to see the Atlanta Falcons up they secondary, their safety position, their slot corner position, their cornerback 2 position, and this just bringing in more competition. We'll definitely get to see what the Atlanta Falcons do in free agency before they get to the draft day. But picking a guy like this, I really like a guy that's going to play 15 yards and in, going to be a great run defender, great zone defender as well. Got to work on his man-to-man coverages, but most guys that you're going to pick in the 7th round at pick 244 is going to need some development, right? I think Atlanta Falcons got a good developmental coaching staff. We just got to start putting it to work. This guy had 2 interceptions, 7 pass defense, 70 tackles. So like I said, this guy don't mind tackling. He comes down in the box and he make plays, right? Big safety at 6 feet tall. You're going to like that because you're going to be able to utilize that, being able to get off blocks. The offensive lineman is trying to get downfield. So I like Craig Woodson coming in and competing with DeMarco Hellams. It depends on what the Atlanta Falcons do. When we do these mock drafts, we doing it blind because we don't know the moves the Atlanta Falcons have already made, right? And that's one good thing about the offseason because a lot of times you can kind of get an idea and the directions that teams go in the draft, right, based off what they did in free agency. Now, Atlanta Falcons, they pulled the wool over all our eyes last year because they went out and got Kirk Cousins in free agency, but then they doubled down on the 1st-round pick and Michael Penix in the draft, right? So we didn't really know what they was thinking. I don't think nobody except the Atlanta Falcons knew that they was picking Michael Penix, right? I think the whole world probably thought they was going defense. It's been something that Atlanta Falcons been trying to get corrected for years and years. We talked about this so much, but we know for a fact that they need to get somebody to be able to get after the passer, right? But guys, there you have it. There you have it. At pick 30, yes, the Atlanta Falcons moved back 15 spots and still got Mike Green. All right. Don't know how realistic this would be for the Atlanta Falcons, but if that was to work and you'd be able to pick up 2 extra picks in the 2nd round, I say the Atlanta Falcons should definitely move back. Getting Jack Sawyer at number 46, I think is also a great value there. A guy that's going to be relentless. Already is going to be really, really good in stopping the run for the Atlanta Falcons. So you having him on base, the first three downs is going to be really crucial for Atlanta Falcons on obvious run plays. So that's going to be really, really crucial for them. You get Maxwell Hairston, right? Going to be also great cornerback, slot corner. Emory Jones may be coming in to protect the backside of Michael Penix Jr. LeJohntay Webster going to work on your 2 fronts, being that 4th to 5th receiver and being your punt returner, and then going to get Craig Woodson out of Cal to create competition in that secondary. A hard-hitting safety, big safety that could be really, really physical. And also, guys, during that trade, I was able to get a 2026 fifth round pick as well. So um, I think if the Atlanta Falcons can land a draft similar to this, right? We didn't address the linebackers, right? We definitely need to think about that. Hopefully they do that in the free agency if they was to pick a draft like this. But I think this right here is a solid, solid, solid pick um, for the Atlanta Falcons. And if they, I'm gonna give myself an A. I want you guys to grade me. Tell me what you think. But this is definitely A minus for me, in my opinion. You pretty much got all your needs you had to have. Like I said, linebacker is still something that they probably need to look into. Depending on what they decide to do with Nate Landman, right? But there you have it, guys. Let me know what you think about my first mock draft right off the bat. Um, really had to do my homework with some of these guys to make sure that I just wasn't picking guys. I wanted to make sure it makes sense for the Atlanta Falcons. I think every pick that I made really made sense for Atlanta Falcons. I think they would fit really well in what the Atlanta Falcons trying to do. Now we're not 100% sure what Jeff Albrecht defense is going to look like, but we do have Raheem Morris there, who's the head coach, and we kind of get an idea of his philosophy. Like I said, you're not trying to beat deep. You're gonna play a lot of zone coverage, and you need players to be able to fit that kind of that mold. So that's where we have it, guys. Let's look at some of the stuff. You say you want this hat? Yeah, man. I don't know. I got so many Falcon hats, man. So you just have to see. But guys, there you have it. Definitely want to hear about your thoughts on my first mock draft for Atlanta Falcons, and give me your grades. Give me your grades. Also, go out and share this mock draft out. Like I said, more than likely, some of those guys probably already be off the board. But in this draft, in particular, it's really deep in certain positions. So a guy like Mike Green could slip down, right? Um, you just never know, because this is a really really good defensive tackle draft. I think I heard one scout said he had 24 first round grades on defensive tackles. 24. So he had 24 defensive tackles he had first round grades on. That's a lot. That's a lot. So that means somebody's going to drop to the second round if that many good defensive players in the draft. We know some teams going to reach for quarterbacks, right? A lot of people don't have Cam Ward and Shadur, that high as drafty, but it's some quarterback needy teams, and in the first 10 picks. So some of those guys going to pick. You fall in love with a guy, you got to take him. So some guys going to drop just because of that. Guys, please let me know what you think about my draft. Give me your grades, and I will come back with something new here soon. Really excited about next week. We get to hear from our general manager and our head coach. We get to hear from the whole national media, the Atlanta Falcon media, everybody trying to get an idea and get some kind of indication what the Atlanta Falcons are thinking for about this offseason. We heard all of them say it's no need to talk. Really, it's about action, right? So we're going to see what they able to achieve. There you have it. This is your boy Ricondo. Come back at you with another video. Peace.